in the Creative Hive, and I'm sorry you're seeing a recording of this. Sometimes me and technology are not always the best of friends, and there's updates always happening, and I blew it on this one, but we're still going to get this cooking done, and we're still going to have a really great time with Emily Mardell. Emily, thank you so much for being here. It's so appreciated. You are so much fun to listen to and to learn from, and your shirt.
Oh, that's right. Locally grown as well, you could say.
Exactly. Emily, for anybody who's watching and doesn't know GetJoyfull and the awesome work that you do, can you tell us a little bit about you?
Well, I'm a local dietitian, and GetJoyfull is a little bit of a foodie outlet for me, if you will. It's a blog, a food and nutrition blog, and it just it celebrates local food, it celebrates family meals, and our goal is to just help people get connected with food and find out where their food comes from, and just find food joy.
You know what? Let's find some food joy today. So I've got the turkey ready. Tell everyone what we're making, and I'll get this turned on.
Well, we're going to make one of my favorite dishes. This is a quick, easy weeknight meal. This is a turkey and lentil hoisin lettuce wrap. And my entire family just absolutely love this dish. You need a few ingredients, and I'm going to make sure we, of course, post and share the recipe, but to follow along today for a few recipe hacks, if you will, so it comes together really easy. It starts out with a really good Alberta-grown lean turkey, which is one of my favorite ingredients just to have in terms of a good starter protein for that sort of thing. The whole kind of point to this dish is to tap into things that are important to us right now, which is, thinking about how we can stretch food dollars, how we can make the most of meals, how we can bring more plants and color and crunch and more, kind of Mother Earth goodness.
So you cook this just in a pan, like everybody can, I can do this, right?
Yeah, so essentially what we're going to do, we're going to lightly brown some turkey, okay? And then we're going to get into adding all of our fixings to the dish that bring it together. So just on a medium-high heat pan, you can probably see here, I'm going to just spotlight this video so everyone can see it.
Okay, do that for you.
I'm just using a wooden spoon to break up the turkey. I have to tell everybody I am not a chef. I'm like a home cook, someone who likes food, doesn't mind if things get too messy. But overall, I'm just literally just trying to swing dinner together like everybody else. But as you can see, I'm just using a wooden spoon just to kind of break up the turkey bits. If, turkey's not your thing, you could use lean chicken as well. You could also even make this 100% plant-based and use like a textured vegetable protein or tofu, or even like a whole grain kind of as the base to this. That would be delicious. So I'm just going to leave this. My mom always tells me not to fuss too much and just let it cook. So that's a good lesson.
You know what? I'm learning as we go and do this together too. And so it's kind of a fun way to get everybody cooking in there as well, isn't it?
For sure, because there's different elements. And, I really love this countertop cooktop. I have a few of them for meal prep and that sort of thing. I don't know how you're feeling about cooking like 100 meals a day, but like the cleanup is killing me. It is literally killing me. So using just a cooktop like this is, the whole stove doesn't need to, I feel bad for you now that I'm saying this, but the whole stove doesn't need to be cleaned and that sort of thing. It's just a little bit easier cleanup. So I just love them. Okay, so back to our turkey for a second. You can kind of see it's brown for the most part. There's still a little bit of pink. And this is when we're going to get kind of like our feature ingredient that we're going to be adding. So we're super fortunate in Alberta because Alberta pulse growers, they grow so many pulses, beans, peas, lentils, chickpeas, that sort of thing, and we're kind of just getting into eating them because that kind of plant forward or more plant-based eating is coming into everyone's field of view, if you will. So I really love this recipe because it uses probably my favorite pulse, if I'm being honest. So this is a split red lentil. I'm going to see if you can see it.
So, they're beautiful, aren't they?
Yeah, they are beautiful, and they're very they're split, so they're half of a typical lentil, which is what makes them so meal time friendly because they cook in 5 minutes. Okay, so what we're going to do before we put them in, I'm going to bring in some aromatics to this dish. So one of my favorite things that it has is some grated ginger. Now, you don't have to have like a fancy grater, just use your regular box grater, but use the kind of smaller grate to it and give it a good grating. I just keep ginger actually in the freezer, and that helps as well.
Really?
Yeah, it doesn't have to go bad, and you can always kind of have it at the ready. This is going to start to smell incredible when you have kind of the turkey, and now we have some ginger going into the mix here.
So I should add this ginger into there now then?
Yeah, good idea. Okay. Add the ginger. I know you're prepped a little bit more than I am, so you already have it grated, which is awesome. This is my other handy dandy tool. If you don't have a garlic press, I know for a lot of my chef friends, you know, they're just much more adept with their knife skills for chopping garlic. I'm all about the press. I use it all the time.
I have the press too, so I'm going to add that in there.
Yeah. So we have right now in our pan turkey. We have some fresh ginger. You can use ground as well, and then we have a little bit of garlic. So again, you could use a powder if you wanted, no problem at all.
For you, how does making these recipes that your whole family loves, like how does that make you feel?
You know, I grew up where food was connection, where food brought people together. And for me, coming together at the table or where bedtime snack, whatever it is, it really is, it's like true soul food. It's what kind of gets me through the day and reminds me of where I came from and kind of how my grandmother raised me, those sorts of things. So it's pretty important to me. I tend to romanticize food. People tell me that all the time, but I'm good with it. I'm okay. Okay, so our turkey, as you can kind of see, is browned but a little bit pink. This is when we're going to add our split red lentils. Now I'm going to sprinkle in about 1/3 of a cup dry, okay?
So I cooked mine. Was I not supposed to?
Pardon me? You cooked yours? Okay, so this is great if you've already done that, because that's totally fine. But this just speaks to how easy the recipe is. So they're actually going in dry. Okay. Most people are intimidated by dry pulses. So because they're split, they're going to cook really fast. So I'm going to add just a little bit of water. Okay. And then I'm going to let them cook, let them do their thing, okay? So this is when we get to chat, because I'm going to cover it, let them steam. Okay.
I'm going to do the same thing.
In about 5 minutes, they're going to come together. If yours are already cooked, you don't need to add the water, okay? You just kind of like hang out and wait to add the veggies with me in a few minutes.
You know, it is an easy recipe. I'm like, okay, I'm going to see, this is why I don't cook very often. I obviously misread the recipe again. This will still work even though I've cooked them.
It will, absolutely. We'll just put them in later, and that's totally fine. The thing is, okay, so like lentils, you know, every 100 grams have about 26 grams of protein. So when we talk about like kind of like stretching food dollars, they're going to double in volume as well, right? So when you think about kind of making a meal for a family, and maybe you have, you know, 1/2 pound of, you know, turkey, or, you know, 1 pound, whatever it might be, this is really going to stretch and almost like triple the recipe for you to really stretch it for that next day's lunch. So that's one of the reasons why I really like cooking with them. The fact that you've already cooked them kind of brings me to a good point, because sometimes like I'll just cook a cup of these split red lentils, and then I just put them in like a baggie and I'll freeze them cooked. Okay, so they're great. You can actually add them to baking, like you would like mashed banana, for example, to kind of add some protein to like an oatmeal muffin or whatever it might be. I make a really good like carrot mango smoothie, and I add these to it as well. So they're not just for like savory dishes. If you don't cook them in like a stock or something, and because they're dry, there's no added salt, you can add them to sweet dishes as well, and they're going to enhance kind of the goodness.
Do lentils start to take on, my assistant is, you know, 2 thumbs up. She's going to take her 2-minute water break while this stuff all simmers and stuff, and then we'll get her back in. Thank you so much. But do lentils take on the taste of other things? I don't profess to know anything about lentils. So
they're very, you know, bland, for lack of a better word. So that just makes them kind of like a blank canvas, you know, to absorb different flavors. That's why the aromatics work so well with this. And that's why they're great for kids. So this recipe is not going to have, you know, a funny, unusual texture that your kids might not be used to. And because we're going to add like a sweeter sauce later and some sweet veggies, this is why it's one of the recipes that kids really like, because it kind of gives a protein that they might be a little bit nervous about trying, a little bit of sweetness, you know, so it just kind of, you know, is that happy medium.
It expands it. And I really like what you're saying too about stretching the dollar right now. And, you know, it's starting to do that with this, but also the introducing some different plant options, because it's still relatively new. I know there's a lot of people who are really behind eating more vegetarian and more plant-based, but for some of us who are just kind of starting to add those in, are lentils and beans a great way to start doing that?
They really are. And, you know, I want to say that I don't want people to feel any pressure to eat like plant-based. Plant-based is so loosely defined. You know, it doesn't have to be extreme or complicated. We're not talking about, you know, vegetarianism or veganism proper. You know, that's a lifestyle that people can adopt if that works for them. For other people, it's just putting more color and crunch on the plate. It's finding creative ways to stretch food dollars, right? So you don't have to fit a mold. You just need to find an eating pattern that kind of reflects you and that you can feel good about. So like for me, pulses, like we talked about stretching food dollars, but also like I'm a busy mom. I have an infant at home. Speaking about your live yesterday, like I'm breastfeeding, like I'm like ravenous sometimes. I'm so hungry. And one of the things that pulses bring is a lot of fiber. So that kind of like sustainable energy is really, really important to someone like myself. So I tend to add them into the mix a fair bit just to kind of, you know, feel fuller longer. And my husband, who strength trains, he's a power lifter, and he's, you know, true meat and potatoes kind of guy. So if I can turn him into like a pulse lover, like they're for anybody, like honestly.
So your husband will eat them and the kids will eat them. That means, yeah, they're absolutely for anybody. But food can cause stress. It sometimes stresses me out thinking about what I have to make and what I can add into it and how's it going to work and will they eat it, and it just can be so much.
Yeah, you know, I will say that stress is at an all-time high, whether it's because of affordability or accessibility or feeling safe in the grocery store or having to come up with not just the pack of school lunch, but now 3 snacks and 3 meals a day. You know, I'll go so far to say, like, if you don't give a you know what about nutrition right now, that's okay. You're not alone. You're not alone. Do you know what I mean? Like, we have so many things to kind of like navigate and juggle and feel concerned about. So I think if you're just trying to kind of get some things on the table, add a dash of compassion in there, because we're all just doing our best, right? Like, I am enough. It's like the affirmation that like you cannot say it enough, you know, you really, really can. I will say that I think shifting the focus from what is on the table or what you're eating to how you're eating. And that's kind of like a GetJoyfull mantra, right? It's like eating together, trying to eat, you know, distraction free, for example, and finding like a ritual of connection at the table. Those are things that we should be putting some energy into, because they give energy back.
Yeah, you want to know something silly that we did? I'm going to show you. We turned our table. A simple turn so that it doesn't face a television.
Awesome.
And you know, it's such a small move. All of a sudden, the connections were happening different. We were actually spending that time talking.
You know, research shows us that there's only about 10 minutes of true mealtime connection. Okay, between, you know, it's like in my house, it's like, don't pull your sister's hair, you know, don't feed the dog, like whatever it is, there's about 10 minutes. So if mealtime is just too hectic for you, or maybe people are, you know, passing trains because they're, you know, different work shifts or just different, you know, things going on during the day. One thing we like to do is time shift kind of that mealtime connection to bedtime snack. Bedtime snack is ritual in our house, whether it's tea or whatever it might be. We kind of sit together and we do this thing. It's called roses, thorns, and buds. So it's just, everyone just kind of goes around the table, and a rose is like something that is good that kind of happened to you today. A thorn is like something kind of in your side that you might need a little bit of help with, or maybe it's something that you overcame, and a bud is something that you're looking forward to. So it's just so simple, but it's a little way that we can all kind of quickly touch down, connect, and share something, and still eat snack and kind of get ready for bed. So.
You know what? That is such a fun and easy way to do that. But it takes me back to what you said right when we started talking, that food for you was a connection of family, and it's continuing to be that.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. Are we ready to do something else here? Am I?
We are. So if we can take a quick look at this dish here, when the lentils absorb some of the water, they go a little lighter in color and they get a little soft and translucent. So that's when you know it's ready. This is when we're going to add some herbs. Now I like to, again, not waste. So I'll just show you quickly where we have kind of the stems. Do you see that there? The stems of all of the cilantro, for example. Throw that in, you know, a little bit earlier, and reserve kind of the more floury bits for right at the end, but let them cook. They're really, really good. Don't throw them out. I'm going to throw in some of the cilantro stems. Now, kind of the other feature veg of this recipe is the bell pepper, the red bell pepper. Now, we're all kind of talking about, you know, vitamin C and getting those immune supporting nutrients through foods right now. Bell peppers are top of the list in terms of vitamin C concentration. And we're so lucky to have so many, you know, greenhouses in Alberta and have our local farmers markets that grow them basically year round for us. And they're just absolutely delicious. So I actually don't cook them too long. I like them crisp. I like them sweet. So we're kind of coming to the end of things right now, okay? So just turn up your pan. This is when you're gonna add just a little bit of seasoning. I like to add a little bit of light soy.
How much soy?
You could use tamari as well for a gluten-free option if you want. And the main kind of sauce, the sweet sauce that I mentioned a little while ago, is hoisin. So I'm just going to put a little bit of that in there too. And this is when we're going to stir everything up.
And about how much of each of those? Because I didn't measure that out. I just have the bottle.
You know what? I kind of eyeball it, to be honest. I want to say it might be a quarter of a cup, somewhere in that range. I tend to like things a little bit with some heat as well. So I'll just add a little bit of sauce till I feel everything is covered well. And then I'm good to go. But it's somewhere in that range, right? So as things kind of come together, this is going to be the most beautiful filling, but you know, if you want to make it more a meal, you could serve it over rice as well, or you could have it in a wrap. Sometimes I buy those little mini wraps for my son. He just like anything that looks like a taco, or he can kind of hold it in his hand. He's all about it. So this is basically done. What I'm going to do, I'm going to finish it with a little bit of green onion, just to kind of brighten it up. You could add some chili flakes too if you wanted.
We'll do this here. Add a little bit of that. See, I thought I was all ready for you. And this does come together so quickly. Like once you're done the chopping and the prep part, the actual cooking part is quite,
you know,
yeah, it is fun, isn't it?
Smells absolutely delicious. It is so just Moorish, just the smell alone. So how are you doing over there, Charlotte?
How you doing, bud? Good. Do you like cooking this? How does it smell? Smells good.
Okay.
Who's gonna want this for lunch?
Awesome. So I like to serve them kind of in a little like butter lettuce wrap, if you will. These are another great locally grown product. So there's a great big greenhouse in Coaldale, Alberta, that grow all this horticultural hydroponic lettuce, pardon me. And it's awesome because I find it lasts super long because it still has the root bulb attached. So this is the one that we like in our house. I'm just going to quickly grab a spoon so I can make one of these for you. I have my little lettuce wrap. This is great. Please, God, if we ever get back to a dinner party, make this for me and send me a picture, okay? Because it's the perfect share food too, which is, you know, kind of makes me happy and sad at the same time.
Okay, I'm going to pin it back to this video so you can see us on the side. And we're going to see how... Because I can pretend that I cooked this, but we all saw who actually cooked this right now.
I know. You know what? I've had to kind of let go a little bit of some nervousness, even around my daughter, Sela, who's 8, you know, using just chopping in the kitchen and that sort of thing, because she's shown so much interest that I just have to take a step back and kind of let her do her thing. And she just surprises me every time. You know, she just has that interest and that kind of desire to cook and share and that sort of thing too. She comes by it honestly, but still, it's like saving me some time and energy. So I love it. So I'm just going to hold this up so people can see it.
Okay. Oh, it's so pretty too.
Yeah, it's pretty beautiful and absolutely delicious. And you just kind of, I like to serve it family style, which is another kind of GetJoyfull practice, I guess, is, you know, put a bowl in the middle of the table, put some rice if you want, or wraps, put your lettuce there, put a couple spoons, and just kind of, you build and talk and eat as you go. Okay, Charlotte, let me see. Look at you, girl. That is awesome. I'm so proud of you.
Yeah, just have it's a little bit warm, so. Yeah, we'll cool it down. Oh, she can cook. Good, yay! A little piece of the turkey. There you go. Thank you so much for your help. We'll have this in just a second. Okay, hot, I know. Okay, you can hang out over there. We'll be just 1 minute. It's fun to bring them in, isn't it? And when they get excited about the process, you know, they often, in my house anyway, she eats more of it.
Yeah, no, it's very true. If they can have, you know, some hands-on experience with it, every exposure to food is a step towards kind of being a varied eater, if you will. So, you know, we need to kind of move away from thinking about the success of a meal is only if a child eats. Sometimes it's preparing the meal, setting the table, exploring the food, smelling the food, talking about all the different, you know, taste or textures or whatever it might be. Because for kids, food can be scary. You know, so like for me, like I said, my son might not chomp down on a full lettuce leaf, but he's happy to have it in a little, you know, kind of tortilla shell, right? So you can be accommodating and still kind of inch towards what the whole family is eating.
Well, this was just so much fun, and it's always fun to watch and learn from you. If people want to find you and be a part of GetJoyfull and get their blog and any information or just connect with you, how can they do that?
So it's getjoyfull.com with 2 L's, and GetJoyfull on Instagram. All kind of social handles are the same to get in touch with me. What's great as well is this recipe and a lot of other recipes that feature Alberta Pulses are available free through albertapulse.com. So they actually print these recipe booklets and they have them uploaded in PDF. It's absolutely wonderful. So like sometimes if I'm like, you know, when all of this kind of first happened and we were buying things and kind of thinking about how to stock the pantry, and I was, you know, picking up some pulses, like I have some black beans here and just, you know, green lentils that are already cooked. You know, I grew up basically eating brown beans that my grandmother made, you know, in her this beautiful crock pot, and chili. That was like the extent of my pulse repertoire. I knew nothing. So it's actually been super helpful going to that site to kind of learn some creative ways to use what's already in my pantry. So I would highly suggest that.
That is a great tip, because I can tell you, I've looked in our pantry before and be like, oh, I got all these beans and pulses in there. I don't know what to do with those. Let's do something else, right? So it's a really great way to start using your entire pantry. And then that takes you full circle right back to the idea of stretching the dollar, especially right now. You have probably a lot of things that you don't even really know you have in there.
Yeah, it can go a long way. And I think doing a little bit of an inventory of what's in your pantry, looking at some recipes before you hit the grocery store is always a good idea too. If you have a little bit of a plan, I know that kind of reduces my stress a little bit too.
Yeah, you and me both. Thank you so much for being here. We'll get this up on Facebook. I'm so sorry to everybody watching that you didn't get to see this live, but once again, technology has bested us for a little bit, but we'll get this up there. We got cooking and we got joyful.
And we'll do it again, right?
Absolutely. Oh, I'm going to hold you to that one. It'll be fun. All right. I'm going to just thank you guys so much.